The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everybody, welcome to the webinar. We are just about to get started on tonight's special call with Daniel Wagner. I'm very, very excited to get Daniel on the call because, well, tonight's an essential subject. We're going to be talking about the top 5 predictions, or another way of thinking about it is the top 5 trends that are coming online in 2012 and beyond. And the reason why I think this is so important is not only, well, firstly, the internet's changing so fast that, techniques and approaches and things that were working just a few years ago are now totally defunct. A great example is opt-in pages. They used to be the mainstay of a lot of internet businesses, but they're now proving less and less effective, and they've been superseded by a far better option. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's all these radical changes that are happening online, and if you don't stay abreast of them, if you don't understand what these changes are, you're really going to get hurt. Your business is really going to suffer. And the reason why we're doing this webinar is Daniel and I are actually doing a one-day event next week on Saturday the 18th of February out at Heathrow, and we're doing it to create a new product because Daniel and I created a product several years ago called the Internet Marketing Masterclass. And recently a student of mine complained because they bought a copy, and one of the techniques that I recommended in it now is no longer possible due to changes in the social networking sites. And it just reminded me of how fast all this stuff is changing. And even though both Daniel and myself have made 7-figure sums through our online businesses, the fact is that you've got to be constantly evolving and changing your business, not only so you don't get hurt, but also if you do change, if you do adapt to these changing trends that are coming. I mean, we've used the word predictions in the webinar title, but really the signs are already there. There's evidence already there to prove these changes are coming. We've got the short end of a the thin end of a very, very, very long wedge. And these changes are going to transform how businesses work online, how businesses work. So if you're promoting yourself, if you have a website, if you're generating leads or sales in any way, shape, or form online at the moment, you need to understand what these changing trends are. And that's exactly what tonight's webinar is about. So we're going to explain, we're going to give you an overview of these changes, what they are, so you can be aware of them, so you can prepare yourself on tonight's webinar. But ultimately, and to be candid up front, we're giving you this webinar to show you and prove to you and talk about these changing trends. And then we're going to invite you at the end of this webinar to come and attend a day with Daniel and I together to really get into the nitty-gritty detail of not only understanding what the trends are, but how to capitalize upon these trends. So it's going to be a content-packed call. You're going to get a lot of value. I've already kind of reviewed what we're going to be going over in this call, and obviously prepared with Daniel, and you're in for a really, really fun ride. So get involved. Obviously use the appropriate section in the control panel to let us know your questions, and if we have any time at the end, we'll do our best to work those in. Having said that, now it's time to get started. So let me introduce you my very special guest for tonight's webinar, Mr. Daniel Wagner.
Hey, good evening, Dan, and good evening, everyone else. It's unusual, Dan, that I get introduced this way. Normally, I run the webinars and introduce my guests, so it's really nice to be a guest on your webinar tonight. I've actually sent all of my list and everyone I can think of to this webinar, Dan, because as you pointed out, the changes I'm going to outline today are so crucial, they're so important that everyone really must know that. And if you're here tonight, you are very privileged because I just actually come from a trip to America that I spent a lot of money for, and some of the insights I'm sharing tonight come directly from the horse's mouth, directly from some research labs that are predicting those trends. And as you said rightly, they are not really predictions, they're almost a little bit like we already know where it's going. It's just a question how quick is it going to happen. And as you said rightly, a lot of what we're looking at today is going to work less and less and less. And it is shocking. But what is also shocking, Dan, what are the alternatives? They are non-existent. So you got to use online, because it will be hard even to survive as a business if you don't utilize the incredible power of the internet. And I was lucky that 7 years ago I started with my first little business, made a few bucks online, and obviously the few years I worked with you have been instrumental for literally building a proper business. And I'm still to this day enjoying the benefits and the fruits of those years with you. And of course, I've moved on and then done lots of other stuff since then. So I'd love to just start sharing my screen. A little bit of feedback. Can everybody hear me? Is my audio kind of nice and clear? Can you hear me? Is my audio good? That sounds good. A couple of people saying yes. Clear, okay. That's really important. Fantastic, because we're going to get started right away. Just to let you know, I got James Watson, my business partner, in the background. He will be answering questions because I'm going to get totally entrenched in the subject matter. So he will be typing away, answering questions as well if you need. So I'm going to share my screen right now. And let me just double check if my screen is actually visible. Dan, all good? Can you see my screen?
Your screen is all good. Is all good. I can see it. Well, I can see a big turkey.
Okay, now this is not a turkey, it's actually a dodo, Dan, and obviously the symbolic, the symbolism of the dodo is that this is an animal that didn't adapt and has since then died out. And here is the problem that I see, that while most people out there trying to catch up with last year's news, and this is most likely 90% of the people on the call, you're still trying to build a good website. Maybe some of you don't even have built your website yet. You're thinking, now you know what, I'm gonna get round to this in 2012. You're still thinking about, let's build a list with opt-ins, then I'm ahead of the crowd, then I'll be really kind of cooking with gas here. You're thinking about, you know what, I'm gonna use this damn Infusionsoft thing, you know, it's not easy, but then I have autoresponders, then I'm so cool. You might be thinking, hey, I'm gonna create a video sales letter, and you're thinking, you know what, I'm gonna use social media because that seems to be the latest and greatest. And then there's so many other things that you wanted to do and haven't got round to it. Now here's the problem with all this. This is last year's news. The experts are looking into the future right now. And I want to just share with you what the future is. So while you're even trying to catch up with last year's news, there's already new stuff on the horizon. And we just cannot ignore those trends and those new predictions. Now here's to the future. You can see a little crystal ball, and the second best to a crystal ball is actually going and spending time with the top guys in the world. Now these photos were all taken a few weeks ago at a conference in Austin, which was not the traditional turn up and get sold stuff every hour by different speakers. That was a 3-day traffic and conversion event in the US. James and I both flew there. And in case you don't recognize the people in the bottom row, this is Perry Belcher with myself. This is Bill Glazer from Glazer Kennedy fame with myself, Ryan Dice with myself. And the guy on the right is actually Mr. Infusionsoft, Mr. Mask, one of the guys who owns and founded Infusionsoft. Now, believe me, talking to those guys, spending time with them, gives you some good idea what's coming down the pipeline, because they're spending a lot of time and money in the labs finding out what's working and what isn't working, and therefore we can predict trends. Now, I want to go straight to the content, guys, because I want to say tonight, and this is what we've told you on the webinar, who are the big four and why must you work with them? We've seen a massive consolidation online happening, and if you just try to sell a few products online, you will most likely disappear, like the high street shops will disappear most likely, apart from a few exceptions, and everything will go towards online ordering. Little online shops will disappear as well. Why sending email will not be enough in 2012 and beyond. And I know that some of you are just getting started building your opt-in lists. I'm telling you, it won't be enough. Here is a real problem. Digital products have a massive crash of value. The perceived value of an ebook, the perceived value, and that is partly due to the Kindle revolution. You see, 3 or 4 years ago, Dan and I were selling ebooks at $47, $97. Now, with Kindle offering 2 billion ebooks at $5, you know, it's very hard because this medium has been hijacked by one of the big four, and I've already now leaked a little bit who one of the big four is and why you must work with them and how you can work with them, even more exciting. The next one is why you might have to ditch your opt-in pages. Now, this is really gonna tear your hair out. You just get your head around those cool opt-in pages, starting to build a list, and you're already predicting how big your list is gonna be. And I'm telling you, you might have to ditch a lot of those efforts, and I tell you exactly why. But even better, I tell you what you can do instead, which of course is more interesting than just to tell you what's not gonna work anymore. And last but not least, tonight I want to tell you about how to use and exploit the explosion of video to drive traffic to your site, to your offers, to your products, whatever you want to use the traffic for. And actually, I have a few little ninja strategies which I'll reveal right at the end of this webinar. So please hang on and learn how to do. I'm going to explain to you tonight free video traffic, video SEO, push button SEO that anyone can do with no expertise, that you can literally start tomorrow. If you've got a video out there on YouTube somewhere, I'd share with you 5 strategies tonight that you can use immediately. But before we do that, let's go straight into the first of the 5 biggies. Here is why
Daniel, before we, Daniel, just to interrupt, just before we go into the first one, I just kind of want to emphasize, you ran over those real quickly there, but I really want to get across that, look, this isn't rocket science. As we're going to prove to you now, there's already plenty of evidence that many of you on this call have already seen that proves that these trends are coming. I mean, just think back a few years ago. I mean, Daniel, how many years, for example, how many years has Facebook been around now?
I think it's just its 7th birthday, so it's just 7 years old. I think
it's only just 7 years old. Remember, its first couple of years, it was just a student thing, right? It took several years before it became a mainstream thing. So it's only been going properly for, as it were, for 5 years, and yet now it's a mainstay. I mean, I'm on Facebook every day. Most of the people, that I know are on Facebook every day. So in 5 years, it's gone from a startup company that marketed to college students to being one of the biggest, having their biggest IPO, or on the verge of the biggest IPO in the history of the world. 5 years. So, if that isn't enough to blow your mind, the other thing to consider is that the speed of these changes is getting quicker. So, it kind of seems a bit glib. Some of you might have felt it seemed a bit glib for Daniel to say, just sending emails not going to be enough, counteracting the crash of perceived value. And these things are real. And we're not saying this to scare you. We're saying this to help you. And we're going to tell you what these things are and what you can do about them on this call. But you do need to take them seriously, because whether you like it or not, the truth is the truth, whether you acknowledge it or not.
I totally agree, Dan, and in a way I wasn't quite sure how to tell the story, but I just thought I'd tell it as straight as I can. And the straight story is you got to take notice of this stuff, and you got to start acting upon it, because you will be left behind otherwise. There is so much going on right now, and it's not rocket science. That's the good news. But you got to take notice and start making changes to your business. Otherwise, you will be a dying breed. The video is the same story. YouTube is just 10 years old. Again, founded by a couple of guys in the bedroom, bought out by Google a few years ago. And I will actually explain a few really amazing things about why and how to use video properly. And I don't mean just recording a video like Dan or I do sometimes to say hello or kind of tell a story. How to actually use it to drive free traffic, okay? This is visitors to your page, highly targeted, free visitors to your page. That's what you got to do. And I promise you, most people don't have the knowledge. So you are in a very privileged position tonight to get hands on this knowledge today. So, okay, Dan, to move on?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Cool. So I'm going to literally run through these 5 trends. I want to explain them. I want to give you a bit of the pain and a bit of the remedy all together. And I want to mainly raise awareness. I want you to be aware that these things are real, they're there, and then you make a decision if you want to act upon them or if you just ignore them for now. And both answers are fine. I just want to make sure I have told you and you heard it here first. Now, who are the big 4 and why must you pay attention? And even more importantly, how can you work with them? Now, here's the first one. How can you partner with Amazon? Now, why is Amazon cool? Because Amazon has currently 250 million credit cards on file, and with one click, people order stuff. Currently, check out these numbers, guys. Currently in the US, 50%, that's half of all e-commerce, half of everything that's been bought online goes through Amazon. And this trend is continuing on such a rapid scale that by next year, they predict it's going to be 75%. 3 out of 4 transactions online that where money changes hands will be done through Amazon. Now, if you follow the news, the financial news, Amazon just had a bad quarter because they introduced something called Amazon Prime. Now, Prime is one of the smartest marketing tricks ever played. Amazon charges $47 and you get a year's free shipping with everything. Now, just imagine what that's going to do to the volume of shipment in the future. That means people think, you know what, with free shipping, I might as well go to Amazon and buy this stuff there. They will become the one-stop shop. Now, what does it mean for you, and how can you partner with them? We have outlined a few strategies how you can actually put your products on Amazon and start leveraging that. Amazon is a search engine. Understand that people go there and look for stuff, but there are very specific ways how you have to put your products on Amazon. They could be your lead generators. They could be your books, they could be your ebooks, and I'm going to come back to some of those strategies a little bit later. The second big partner you must consider is Google. How can you partner with Google? How can you work with Google, okay? I'm so fed up with those people who try to outsmart Google, okay? These endless internet marketing tricks. Oh yeah, I worked for Google and I hid in the cupboard and I heard the secret and now I know how to outsmart it. This is all nonsense, guys. Don't for a second believe that you can outsmart the smartest people on the planet. So here's my better strategy is how can we work with them? And remember, Google owns YouTube. That means how can we work with YouTube and Google to get all the free traffic that's out there? I mean, there's even a revolution now going on with AdWords 3.0. There's actually AdWords has leveled out and we're back in and we can actually start making money again with pay-per-click. But this is not for tonight. Here is another partner that most people have not considered. Good old Apple. Now, Apple has currently got 300 million credit cards on file in their iTunes store. Now, only question you need to ask yourself, why are your products not on the iTunes store? Why are you not selling apps or applications or podcasts or indeed any of the other products that could be in the Apple iTunes store? 300 million, okay? So if you add Amazon and Apple, that's 500 million people that are ready with one click to buy stuff. And they're looking, they're solving their problems every day, they're getting answers every day. And this is just absolutely nuts because these are the most trusted shopping carts in the world. We're not trying to squeeze people through our own little checkout page and hope that they don't abandon the shopping cart and spend 12 quid with us. They're already there. Amazon has got the strongest way of upselling and cross-selling. You will have seen it. You buy anything at Amazon, they suggest another 20 things that are highly targeted. Wouldn't you want Amazon to do that? And here's another tip. If you do well on Amazon, they will start paying your Google pay-per-click. They will start advertising on Google so you make more sales on Amazon. Imagine the power of that. And of course, our partner number 4 gotta be mighty Facebook with 800 million users. Okay, now I know there's a bit of a cross-section, but we're looking at over 1 billion people. That's like almost 20% of the world population at your fingertips. People who are ready, they're looking, they want to do stuff. These are the 4 partners, and there are different strategies to work and partner with all of them. None of them are rocket science, but you have to consider in 2012 and beyond, how can you leverage those massive ready-made customers, those massive trusted lists, those massive amount of traffic for your business. See, most people go out and look for customers, and that's the wrong way around. The internet has turned it all upside down, and now people are looking for you. So all you got to make sure is that you got to be found. You got to put yourself out there so people can find you. And I think you can see the distinction, you know, in the old world of marketing and sales and distribution, it was all about going out to find people. In the new world, it's all about how can I be found. And I would say, if I want to be found, I want to be in the biggest places where there's already 1 billion people looking. and not somewhere in a desert where you're all alone trying to get some traffic to your lonely website. Okay?
Daniel, let me just comment on this. Think about it this way. Here's an interesting thing to consider. Do you really think you can compete with Google, Amazon, Facebook? They're spending hundreds of millions of dollars trying to get more traffic to their website. They're in the same game. They're trying to get more traffic, more customers.
Exactly.
So you can either fight against them or you can align with them. And it's not just saying, well, I already know pay-per-click or I already use Facebook. It's how can you use all four, but not just in the simple ways. There's so many different ways that you can leverage Google, and Facebook, and, the iTunes Store, and Amazon.
I really want to be clear here, Dan. This is not Are You on Facebook. I'm talking about some of the advertising platforms available to us on Facebook. I'm talking about how to exploit using Facebook groups for highly targeted lead generation, to take them off Facebook into your funnel and other things. It's just unbelievable. And the Amazon strategies, I mean, I'll share just one little strategy. For example, many people write a book these days, and I would recommend everyone out there to put their expertise, their knowledge into a book. It doesn't have to be a War and Peace, okay? But here's the advantage. You can actually go on Amazon and sell your book, all right? Now most people say, brilliant, then somebody buys my book for 10 quid, I get 3 quid from Amazon or 4 quid, and then what? Now here's this really sneaky trick. You can actually offer your own books on Amazon as a second-hand bookseller. Remember, in Amazon, every time you buy, they said you can buy stuff second-hand. And you can actually be the supplier of your own second-hand stock. Now, you might ask, Dan, what's the point? Here's the point, my good friends. If I ship my own book via Amazon, okay, so Amazon makes a sale for me, then I get an email and said, hey, somebody just ordered your book. Dan, what do you think? What advantage is it if you can ship it from your office? What can you do compared to having it shipped from Amazon?
Of course, if you ship it from your office, obviously you've got all their contact information as a start, but you can also put in a sales letter, you can put in special offers, vouchers, tons of stuff.
This is amazing, isn't it? And people don't use that. They try to compete with Amazon and say, no, I want to sell the book from my own website because then I get 3 quid extra. Wrong thinking, short-term thinking. There's no strategy behind that. But you say yourself, I'm the second-hand bookseller of my own book, okay? Buy a few hundred, have it in your office, no big deal, and then you can sell out. You can send out sales letters. You can send bonuses with it. You can send a DVD. You can send, it's unbelievable. Put in vouchers, put in tickets for your event, and you got a buyer. You got a buyer information, not a lame prospect who doesn't want to do anything. You got somebody who just paid something. And that is a very valuable part of your business. This is just one strategy.
Daniel, I just want to be militant on time, just because there's so much.
You're right.
Respectful, everybody. But I do want to add, having said that, I'm now going to violate my own rule.
You're going to spend 10 minutes on one point.
Think about this. Here's something that will blow your mind, right? Let's talk about the Facebook IPO. So being floated on the stock market. It's looking. I actually haven't watched the news the last couple of days because I've been traveling and away in America and stuff. But when I was in America. So, Daniel, tell me if this number's changed, but still the core principle is the same. They were talking about raising enough, having a valuation on Facebook of around $100 billion. Now, here's the scary bit, right? Just think about this logically. Facebook's revenue from advertising is about $3.7 billion. And from that, they're making about $1 billion net profit, okay? Now, so they're making $1 billion net profit, which is awesome, but anybody who knows anything about buying and selling businesses knows that to value a company at 100 times its net profit is absolutely ludicrous. It's so overinflated, it's a joke. Now, that's all very nice and fancy if you're into buying and selling businesses or the stock market, but what does that mean to you? Well, I'm not trying to advocate buying or not buying shares here because, in the short term, markets can be funny and you may still make some money. But what that means is if Facebook does not significantly grow sales over the next few years, its share price will get absolutely hammered by the stock market. Well, so what does that mean? Well, obviously it means shares, that could be a bad thing. But what it means is the whole Facebook team is going to, over the next few years, be plowing so much money into growing the Facebook advertising platform. It's unreal, which means that It's gonna rapidly increase its market share. It's going to be everywhere. And what I mean for you is, if you're not doing it, you're going to be missing out. And if you are doing it and you get in now, you'll be ahead of the curve. Anyway, Daniel, this is just number one. A lot of people would counter this by saying, all right, but if I grab contact details and I get an email list, then, you know, it's not just about driving traffic to a website. I can email to people, and that's the solution. Tell them why that's bad thinking.
Yeah, that is bad thinking. And to be honest, Dan, we could spend a whole day on just this one topic, because who's the most cash-rich business out there? Apple. You think they're going to do something with their cash? Yes, of course. What is Google doing? They just consolidated with Google Plus, the fastest growing social network out there, with 100 million users in just 9 months. So there is so much out there, and they're all going to be playing. So this is why I chose those 4, and I want you to play with all 4, partner with all 4, and just grab some what's available. And you can do it in a very smart way.
And as a blatant plug, as we move on to number 2, again, I just want to say the reason we're doing this webinar is to educate you, to give you value. But obviously, you know, as Daniel said, we could spend the whole day talking about this alone, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing in, you know, a little under 2 weeks' time. And we'll be giving you details about that event. There's limited tickets for a reason, which we'll tell you later, and there's a very special offer only for the people that are on tonight's webinar. It's more expensive if you buy them off the regular page and don't use the special link we're going to give you later. So that's just a little teaser for you. But before we get there, Daniel, why is just having an email list a bad idea?
Okay, now I'm gonna go a little bit faster through number 2, 3, and 4, because I have some really juicy stuff for number 5, which is the video strategy, one of my favorites. So I'm just gonna rattle through a few things, but I want to make it clear for you. Now, in the future, which is starting today, okay, you must do multimedia follow-ups. The email open rates, and Dan can testify to that, and I can, email open rates are going down, 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 and only one way. They're not going to come back up. And the reason is we have multiple channels now that we communicate with. People do Facebook, and they do Twitter and Google+, and email is a very less frequented medium now. People do a lot less. And, you know, some of you have received text messages tonight. So we have now Facebook, Twitter, we have LinkedIn, we have small communities, tribes that have their own ways of communicating, and email is just a side issue. Some years ago, it was the only way we got updates. Today, we get updates in 15 different ways. Now, if you want to play, you got to play in multiple leagues. It's not enough to just send emails. Also, you might have received an SMS text message tonight. Many of you are now text marketing already, and if you're not, you must. There's no reason why you shouldn't use SMS marketing. And guess what? Your open rate on an SMS is about 100%, because everyone opens their text messages. And people have their phones with them all the time. And email is going down while other things go up, because we still communicate all the time. Now, here's the good news for you. Good old direct mail is back. And why have we got such success with direct mail? Because most people can't be bothered. It's a little bit too much work, a little bit too much hassle. But of course, that means results are better and getting better again. So if you want to really make the most of your marketing efforts, you must use multiple media in multiple steps. Now, one thing, phone calls, okay? Normally, media channels don't go away. Now, we do a lot of phone calls. We call our customers, we call our prospects, we speak to them, we find out what they're looking for, and we're closing and selling on the phone. Hey, why not? There is a lot of people out there who are looking, you know, for work that you can hire to help you with that. There are call centers. It's not difficult. And of course, good old events. Do run events. There is something special about having people in the room with you. There's much more interaction. People learn better. People get immersed. And what we do on the 18th of February, the one-day event with Dan and myself, where we talk about Internet Marketing Mastery, the 5 big strategies we're sharing tonight, that's an event. And the reason is you will be in the room, you'll be with us for 8 hours, working, learning, implementing, and that is where things happen. If you don't use multiple medias to follow up with your clients, you are literally leaving money on the table. And I don't know about you, but I don't like leaving money on the table, because what that means, the next guy who walks past the table is going to grab that money. Let's move on to number 3. Number 3 is the crash of digital product value. Now what you see here on the right, this image is actually an upcoming book. James and I have been working on the Expert Success Formula for 9 months now, and the book is coming out in a few weeks. Now why do we publish a physical book? So much headache. I could have written an ebook. Now here's the problem. E-products are not enough, even good ones. Now most are not very good, to avoid saying shite, because most people just knock something together. But we have, I outlined it already in the beginning, guys, because of Amazon's Kindle, ebooks have suddenly become a commercial platform. 2 years ago, ebooks didn't officially exist. If you ask them on the street what's an ebook, people would think you're nuts. But today, everyone knows what it is. They would say, oh yeah, it's an e-reader. I got Amazon and I got Kobo with 2 million ebooks for no money. So the e-product in itself has been massively devalued. And the only way you can avoid that crash in value, because let's face it, information is free today. You can go to Google and find out everything. The only way you can still sell information is by having your own brand, a powerful brand. You have a trusted relationship with Dan Bradbury, and Dan's got a trusted relationship with his list. So do I. That means I can still offer and sell information because I have a trusted brand that I built over years. That means people know getting information from me or through my channels will mean they're getting good value. And here's the reason. People are happy to spend money if it saves them time and if it saves them errors. So if you can provide good quality products that save people time and give them results consistently, you can actually build a brand. Now, I would really ask you, where is your book? Why haven't you written one? I mean, James and I have helped many of our students publish their books, and every single one of them has reported massive increases in their authority, in their believability, in their credibility, and in their positioning. So if you had to choose between 2 people with equal standing in the market and one is a published author, you would naturally go to the published author. Now here's one thing I see that people are missing out, and I want to share it with you. You will need a strategic sequenced staircase. Now don't panic on me, I will break it down for you. Now I'm not talking about a product funnel, because funnel has this unfortunate notion to squeeze people through something that gets narrower and narrower until they come out at the bottom. That's not very nice, I don't like that. I look more at what we offer as a staircase where people naturally move up and down the different products you have available, and they have an ascension. But people put a product in and then another product, but they never think about strategic sequence. How do you move a suspect to a prospect to a customer to a real fan? Now there are strategies behind that that are logical, and you've got to start building that. And here is one of my favorite topics, and Dan is a master in that. Avoid being a commodity. Dan teaches all the time, you know, and I do the same. What is your unique positioning? Avoid being price shopped. As long as you're a commodity, if you're just the coach out there or the person who has a solution, you are a commodity. And if you're a commodity, you will get price shopped. That's all that you can compete on is price. So let's look at this. You need to have a brand value. You need to make sure that you have unique positioning. Ideally, you position yourself as an expert with real value products. They could be books, events, physical products, because just having an ebook out there is not going to make you money. Okay? And I'm sorry to be so blunt, if you're just about to finish your first ebook after 2 years, it's not going to work. It's only going to work as a little lead generator to help you through a sequenced strategic staircase. Let me give you a couple of ninja tips on expert positioning. This comes directly out of our book, The Expert Success Formula. There are three legs to that, 3 parts. Now, if you want to have a position as an expert in any market, any niche, any industry, you need a personal online brand. danbradbury.com, danielwagner.com, james-watson.com, jameskahn.com. Okay, it's personal branding. You use your name and you start building trust from there. And I told you right at the beginning, it's about positioning yourself to be found. Okay? How can you position yourself to be found and not you going out and looking for something? And you position yourself by having a clear message. You got to be clear what's unique about you, what you're standing for, what you stand against. If you just average, run-of-the-mill, you will be coming under more and more scrutiny and you will lose out. The second leg is you need to create multiple products. I mean multiple, okay? Selling one product will never work for you because good customers buy more than one product. If you only offer one, then you're losing out. You're going to go somewhere else because they still have needs to be fulfilled. And you got to strategically sequence them so people have a natural flow from coming to you, tasting and sampling your products, all the way to becoming fans and coming avid ambassadors for your brand and for your products. Now here's my little tip. Make sure you have some of that sold automated. Membership sites, video courses, automated webinar courses, monthly newsletters. Everything that is product that is delivered automatically allows you to focus on the high-ticket, high-value clients and work with personally. Cultivate a buying audience. This is the third leg. And most people just want to have a list. Okay, now this is something you got to cultivate. Dan and I have spent years cultivating our audience so they know what to expect. They know what we stand for. And you're going to make sure they are buyers. There's no point having a list of 100,000 time wasters that you cultivate. If you want to make money from this, and I should have checked at the beginning, but I assume you're all listening in tonight because you actually want to make money with your skills or with what you do, part-time or full-time, as a business owner or as a part-time coach, whatever it is you do, a trainer, speaker, okay? These three things have to be in place. And I've seen with every single one who's used those three legs build a powerful personal online brand. And I don't just mean a website with your mugshot on. I mean a brand that is consistent between the website, the list building, the Facebook, the social media. That is very different to just putting your website out there. So this is a couple of ninja tips on expert positioning, which has to do with strategy 3. Let's move on to number 4. Yes.
Hey, Daniel, let me just interrupt briefly. Well, first thing I want to say, and Daniel, I'm also going to ask you in a second just to jump ahead in the slides and then come back. And the reason why I'll explain in a moment, but the thing I want to say to everybody on this call is, look, Daniel's made this sound very complicated, and that's because it is. as the internet's becoming more advanced and developing and becoming more complex, the strategies needed to compete and stay ahead of the curve are more complex. But just because it's more complex doesn't mean that it needs to be more difficult. So, like at the moment, you might be sitting there thinking, "Oh, wow, I was just getting my head round." Email this or whatever, or in a moment when Daniel tells you about why opt-in pages, squeeze pages are dead and no longer as effective as they were and becoming increasingly less effective with every passing week, when he tells you that, you're going to probably be totally freaked out. But the solutions, they sound overwhelming just because they're new. And, the truth is that we're sharing with you what the problems are, and we're sharing with you some of the solutions. Not all the solutions, but we're sharing some of you on this call, and Daniel will be going into some of those in a moment. But the reason we're doing this webinar is to raise your awareness. And if you really want to know how to make this easy, find the easy answers, then I want to ask you to come to our day that we're doing, our event that we're doing coming up. So, Daniel, I think it'd be a great time right now. Can we jump ahead to that relevant slide and just give them the details of this event?
Yeah, let's do that.
And move on, because I'm just wary of the time. We're already at 8:40, and I want to make sure they know where to go and how to buy and how much it is. And then we'll come back and tell them why the opt-in page is dead, and then also talk about the big thing, video, and what's changing with online video and the strategies you've got to share with us in tonight's call.
Absolutely. So, literally very, very simple, guys. Dan and I put an event together. Let me just go here. Dan and I put an event together where the both of us will be teaching you from stage about how to use the internet to build a 7-figure business. Dan has built multiple 7-figure businesses. I've built a 7-figure business and actually helped somebody last to do the same. It's very, very straightforward. We cover 5 really key elements. One is getting unlimited leads, traffic strategies that really work and will work in the future. How to actually triple your conversion formulas. That's Dan's specialty. I've never seen anybody know more about how to convert more money out of prospects. We're going to talk about quick product creation secrets, stuff that will have time and time-proven strategies, how to leverage your own skill, how to actually build a list that lasts, how to create a tribe that lasts. That is a system that I've explored many times now and taught many of my inner circle students. And the last thing we want to talk about is how to automate this stuff. Because once this stuff grows, and it will grow when you do what we teach you, you want to make sure that a lot of your stuff is on autopilot. We're talking fulfillment houses, marketing automation, and some of the real fancy stuff that, I mean, Dan runs an amazing business with skeleton stuff. They're not skeletons, but I think it's what they say, just 2 or 3 people full-time to do all he does. Okay.
Well, by the way, Daniel, this again, there's a lot of good stuff here. I don't want to skip. I don't want to harp on about it too long, but equally, I want to emphasize the fact that that's the key. You know, you go, oh, it's all very complicated. It's like, yeah, there are more steps now than there were before. But once you understand the steps and you set up the system, you know, the Amazon stuff and even a lot of the videos, all that, an awful lot of that stuff can be automated. But you need to understand what to automate first, and then you're right. I mean, I run a 7-figure business. I have 2 employees.
Oh,
so
I'll tell you what's important as well. Now, let me just be clear. You don't have to do everything immediately, okay? But you pick 1 or 2 nuggets, and every single nugget will increase how your business works, okay? Now, ideally, we implement everything, but that will take time, okay? If it was that easy, everyone would do it. But if you do just some of that, you will be ahead of the crowd, leaving them in the dust. But and I just want to be clear, this is a minimum for a £500 workshop, but Dan and I have actually something we call ulterior motives, and I want to let you into that. Now, I've written down Dan's ulterior motive. That's what he told me, by the way. I'll be very upfront. He said, you know what, Dan, I'd like to run an event with you. That's really cool, but I actually have a couple of reasons. Dan's first reason was he needs a DVD set. He needs a new product to update his internet marketing product. He told you that at the beginning. It's out of date, and he wants a new product. So he said, why don't we run a workshop together? We film the product, and then we both have a product. And I think that's a fair and valid reason. Dan, actually, we agreed that I will offer my incredible online brand masterclass workshop on the day. So that's one of his reasons, because we said we're going to share revenue on that. And also, Dan wants to bundle this product we're going to create with some of his higher price stuff. You know, Dan's got inner circle groups and all kinds of other high products, and it's always a great bonus to bundle with. Now, here are my own reasons for creating this day and actually dropping the price, but keeping the value. I want to get my message out about the expert success formula. I've been working forever with James on these strategies. We have an amazing framework and blueprint, and we want to get the word out. I want to offer my online brand masterclass, as I told you, just with Dan. I will bonus this product as well. But here's a key thing as well. I want to prove concept with other strategic partners like Dan that we can run one-day workshops together. And I have a few people waiting to see how this day goes, and then I can work with them, which again is self-serving, I'll be honest with you. And because of that self-serving reason, we decided to make an incredible offer today where you can come to the workshop, the full day, taught by Dan and I, for just £77 plus VAT. And if you want to grab those tickets, yeah, go for it, Dan.
Let me just jump in there. A couple of thoughts. First of all, the 497 plus VAT isn't a made-up number. You know, Daniel was selling the older versions of this training, i.e., not the new trends, but a few years ago, was selling 2 days on similar content for £1,000. So that's what we mean when we say this is a genuinely £500, at least worth £500 in value, especially when you consider that, look, you know, it's going to get much harder. It's going to cost you more than that if you don't understand how to adapt to these trends. And if you're ahead of them, you can make so much more. But the other reason why we wanted to tell you the ulterior motives and lay our cards on the table is, look, this isn't some pitch fest. You know, this is pure content, Daniel and I all day. Yes, Daniel will take 10 or 15 minutes to explain to you about if you want to do some online branding stuff with him and him helping you guide through holding your hand, doing some of that stuff so you don't have to do all the action yourself, then there will be that opportunity to invest in that in the day. But because we're creating a product, my reason for doing this event, primary reason, was because my old internet marketing masterclass product, which I've sold a lot of, an incredible number of copies, it's been a great earner for me, is outdated. So, you know, this can't be a pitch fest. This has to be a content-rich event because we're turning it into a high-value product which we want to sell for hundreds of pounds. And the final comment I want to make before I hand it back to Daniel and see if he's got anything to add before we go back into the last two changing trends, including some strategies of how to use video that I know Daniel wants to share, is this price is now only for the webinar. If you go to my website and find the link to the Internet Marketing Masterclass page, danrabbit.com/internet, you'll find the tickets are on sale for a higher price than you see here. So this £77 plus VAT thing is now only available to people who are on this webinar, because you're the only ones that have got that special link, danbradbury.com/special. So, you know, if you just click on the link to my emails that you might have had if you're on my list and go to the regular page, you won't get this special price. This is a reward for you being on this webinar, and that's a limited time for two reasons. It's limited until the start of next week, the 15th of February, or until all 100 spaces are filled. Daniel and I deliberately chose a room which we knew we could fill, so because we wanted enough people to make the product look good on the DVDs, and we wanted it to be pretty easy and effortless. So other than sending an email or so to each of our lists and doing this webinar, we're not really doing anything to promote this. So we deliberately chose a small number, and so that special discount is only available until the 15th of February or until all 100 places have gone. And at the time of starting this webinar, 58 tickets have already been taken. Let me just check that's 58. It might be
I think it was actually more than that, Dan. When I looked last,
62.
I think, yeah. So I think we sold over 60. Yeah, 62 have already sold before the webinar. And if you wonder how could that have happened, because Dan and I offered those tickets to our inner circle group first, and they just snapped up. They literally bit off our hand to say this is just an incredible day and it will be great value. So this is great, Dan. I think not much more to say to that. It's if people don't see the value, then it's best they don't come. But if you see this an absolutely cracking offer, having 2 days training with you and me, just to be clear, you will be in the room where we do the video filming. If that doesn't bother you, you will have to sign a disclaimer, because you might kind of be in the room, but we're not going to film you personally, so don't be afraid of that. That's really it. So we're going to run the day.
So let's get back into the content, Daniel, and I'll just say that 62, I'll try and keep the page updated, but that 62 is now 66. We've had Steve Mills, Daniel Daya, Neil Kingham, and Lou McDonald have all just booked on just in the last, I've just hit refresh on how many tickets we've had. So cool. Thanks, guys, if you're on the webinar, and get yourself on over to danbradbury.com/special. Now, let's get back into the content. Tell us, Daniel, why is it time to ditch your opt-in page?
Yeah, okay. Now, first of all, there's a little question mark at the end. So when I say time to ditch your opt-in page, I want to actually put that out as a question. I'll tell you a few reasons why opt-in pages will still work, but I just want to make sure people don't use it as their sole list building strategy. Because for years and years, and I've been teaching it for years, I mean, this was the first thing I did. Google AdWords to an opt-in page, and then we start selling the things and all that. Okay. Now, here is some really, really, really shocking statistics. And here's the number one. Over 60% of all people filling in opt-in forms use a second or fake email address. Now, what does that mean for your email list? You're actually getting emails of people who don't read that email because they have a second email address they just use to subscribe to opt-in, because they know now that they're going to get emails, follow-up email sequences from the guru, from the guy they want to get information from. So what do? They put in a fake address just to see if they get through, or they put in a second email address which they don't check, not their primary one. And let me ask a question. I mean, how many of you use Gmail, and how many of you have filters turned on? I do, and so do many of my students and many of the people who buy from me. Now, understand that you sending an email most likely will, first of all, end up in a spam folder more and more as those ISPs get cleverer and cleverer. And secondly, they will end up in some filtered box and read at a later date. Now, this is how they will miss the webinars. This is how they miss the promotions, and this is how they miss your great story that was about to help them make a decision and sell something. And please, the sad thing is that your products are great. Your value is fantastic, but people never see it. So you're sending emails thinking, well, I don't understand. I don't make as many sales as I did last year, and I'm sending more emails. The reason is they go into a totally dead space, a holding area where nobody ever looks. Okay? Now, actually, in internet marketing, this number is much worse. Up to 85%. That means almost 9 out of 10 email addresses in internet marketing are second emails or fake emails. So, I just want to make it clear why you don't want to just use opt-in pages, because the names you're going to harvest are not going to be as valuable as you think. The value per name has gone down dramatically from fresh lists. Now, there is still a great place for opt-in pages, for example, to segment your list. You can say to certain people on your list, hey, if you want to learn more about the Amazon strategy, opt in here, and that will then bring a follow-up sequence. So there is still a place for opt-in pages. You can use it strategically, but you want to do more than that. Now, before I go one further, let me just quickly outline the difference between a buyer and a prospect and the value on your list. Who would rather have, and this is a question to you, would you rather have 5,000 prospects or 500 buyers on your database? Now, please let me know. Type that into the question and answer box. So just type in, if you prefer 5,000 prospects, and please type it in. If you want 500 buyers, then type in buyers. You know what? Okay, got a very educated audience tonight, so everyone types buyers, 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 buyers. Okay, now if you all know that, let me ask you then why you're all collecting prospects. Okay, now here's my strategy to actually start to make that work. First of all, when we have prospects, there is something we need to do to make the most of them, and that is intelligent strategic follow-up sequences. Now, there is two terms which I'm borrowing here from Ryan and Perry, and they call the follow-up sequences the soap opera sequence, which is really a very elaborate way of involving people in stories and building trust and connection. And from time to time, they send people off to buy a product or service, which is the Ferris wheel. So there's different products and services you have, but this has to be strategic, not random. Okay, and for most people it's random, so you've got to look at your own follow-up sequences and make it more strategic. Now, how do you get that buyer list compared to an opt-in list? We already talked about the Amazon strategy. You can sell Kindle ebooks to create buyers. You can sell Apple Podcasts to get buyers, but you can also sell a price-stretched product. Now, we're working on some really high-value reports, and we will most likely be selling them for 3, 4, 5 quid. Now, what's the point selling them? Because then you have buyers. Highly price stretch, massive value add, and I'd rather have 500 buyers who spend 5 quid with me, although that's only £2,500, than have 20,000 opt-ins with wrong email addresses that only bring up my spam rate, my opt-out rate. I get depressed about my open rate, and most people are not even really on my list. And here's another thing we found. Yeah, go for it. Go for it, Dan.
Let me chip in an amusing example of how I discovered this by accident. And by the way, I don't want to be too dramatic, but I'm very excited, Daniel, and I'm not going to try and contain it. People are going crazy, you know. Thanks, David Bird, Ruth Harker. Oh, sorry, they're out of order. I can't remember which ones I've already said. Claudia Crowley, Sheila Cousins. People are going crazy. I love it. Thank you for everybody that's buying at danbradbury.com/special. I'm excited. I'm hoping we're going to sell out on this webinar, but, you know, who knows? I'll keep you posted. But so if you want a ticket, get on over to danbradbury.com/special. But anyway, I digress. Here's how I discovered this by accident, Daniel. A few years ago, I made my first product, and I was so excited by it, like a lead gen product. I arranged for loads to be made, but I accidentally ordered way too many. So I had hundreds of these CDs that I wanted to sell for a low price point. So I didn't want to give them away because I didn't want to lose money. I wanted to use them to generate leads and get new customers. So I decided to give them away for postage, just so I didn't lose out. I was at break even, you know, and I was sending out these CDs. So rather than make it a free MP3, I said, oh, you can get the CD, but you just get postage. And all of a sudden, I'd get all these people buying, but A, it meant that I could do immediate upsells, which made a load of money. But B, here's an interesting thing that I only really discovered this by accident, but I figured it out later, is look, if you've got somebody that will not spend £1 or £2 or £3, a couple of quid for some content, then why would you want it on your email list anyway?
Yeah,
I mean, you've already said that, but
no, Dan, you know what? I'm really pleased you brought this real life example, because actually it was you partly that inspired me to look at that strategy once more and said, how come my database is a lot larger than Dan's, but how come he makes more money? And the answer is because you educated and you filtered and you got a buyers list, or more buyers in your segment than I have. And that's the simple answer, guys. If you just have a big list because you want to show off and tell your mates in the pub, you might as well ditch that, because that impresses no one. It's absolute nonsense.
And like I said, here's the other interesting thing. That's how you add back some value for your content. Because, again, rather than competing with everybody else for free, the fact that you're charging, even if it's only a nominal amount, makes it more valuable. For example, what's more valuable? What do you perceive as being more valuable? Hey, I'm just about to launch a free report, Daniel, which isn't a plug, I don't want to distract, but I've got a new free report coming out on a particular topic, which I won't mention because I want to focus on this webinar, but it's not related to internet marketing. And I was just going to make it a free download, like a PDF, but instead I said, no, I'm going to make them pay the postage and the printing costs for me to mail it to them in the mail. Which means I'm going to send out far fewer copies, but the people that do it are far more likely to read it because they're going to get it in the mail rather than just some PDF, and it's going to they're going to have paid for it, even if it's only a token amount, which means they're going to value it more, they're more likely to read it, and then they're more likely to take action.
Oh, Dan, I mean, this in itself is worth joining us this evening. This just one tip, this one piece of information is worth coming on tonight, because there is a great book by Chris Anderson, who's the author of Wired, and a great guy. He wrote a book called Free. The biggest difference in buyers is between zero and the first dollar. From $1 to $10,000, the jump is actually smaller than from free to the first real transaction, where they reach into their pocket and make and buy something. Okay, that is the biggest difference, and Dan is absolutely right, and he's proven it for years, and I've been proving it, and we're proving it with all our students who get that. And this is just a massive, big trend. And here's one more little strategy, and thanks for sharing that real-life example, Dan, and we should all listen to Dan and myself on that. The last thing is that you got to use the Big Four to create those buyer lists. I told you, Amazon lets you know. You can get the PayPal guys from PayPal, okay? You know who paid you. You get the details from Apple. And, here's another thing. Which emails do you read? I read emails from people I bought stuff from. I don't read emails from people who pitch me products every day, but when I buy something and it's valuable, I read those emails. So if you want to use opt-in pages, use them after your product. That's great. Make them buy and then ask more information. Dan does it very well. Segment your list after they bought something, yeah? Or make the purchase in itself a segmentation tool. So this is just a couple of things, totally blows me away, so easy to do, and it's just incredible how many people miss out on that. So I want to move on to my favorite part. I know it's almost 9 o'clock, but I'm going to just show you some really cool stuff on video. Let me just have some feedback from you guys. You getting some value so far? Just write in a yes into the question box. Okay, somebody says,
Daniel,
I'm booked in.
Just while people are making the comments on what they think about the webinar so far, James has just sent me a message that I just want to share. A few people have asked Daniel whether this is a one-off event, so I just want to cover off that yes, this is a one-off event, mainly because I can't stand to be on stage with Daniel. Mainly because genuinely the reason we're doing this event is to create this new product so we can sell the product. So if you want a live event, if you want to have us show you how to do all this stuff. So you're understanding the concepts in this webinar, and hopefully you're getting a lot of value. But if you want to understand how to do these strategies, that's what the one-day event's for, which, again, you can find all the details at danbradbury.com/special. And that's a link that's only being given out on this webinar, so nobody else has got that link. In fact, while we've been on the phone, Daniel, not only have people who've been buying on the webinar, but there's been somebody that's bought at the higher price on the regular page. So, this is, we said,
cool.
Discount price for this webinar. That's not bullshit. That's a real, genuine offer to thank you and reward you for getting on this webinar.
Absolutely.
But you're going to have to come quick, because again, we're not bluffing. We've got a limited room size. When we hit that number, we'll hit capacity. It'll be sold out, or the 15th of February, whichever comes first. DanBradbury.com/special. Now, let's get on to number 5, Daniel. I'm going to have to speed you up. I know you've got a lot to share.
Oh, come on, Dan. Come on. We're just doing an hour, man. I told you. I mean, I know you want to be back. You want to be back at 9 o'clock, but you got to hang on a bit longer. I always do a little bit more.
Well, let me ask you this. For number 5. Get into number 5. Number 5 is about video. And a lot of people say, well, look, Daniel, video has been around for a while now. You know, tell us why it's special. Give us some new stuff. Like, what's changed? So a lot of people get that YouTube, you know, it's pretty big, but why is it so big? Why is it essential that people use it? And tell us what's changing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to add one tiny little snippet of information to the event. If you think that this information you're hearing tonight is valuable, just imagine getting a whole day of it. And also, it will take at least a month to 2 months to get this product produced. That means you have an early mover advantage. You got some time when you and you alone will know this information far before we're going to sell that to our lists and to our subscribers. So it is a unique, special, fast move advantage, and you actually pay less for being in the room than the product will cost, far less. So I think it's an absolute no-brainer. That's why we're selling these tickets really quickly, which that's the idea, okay? This is all about getting this product done, which we both want.
Cancel it. If your wife's having a baby, cancel it. Tell her to cross her legs. I've just alienated all the women instantly. But, you know, seriously, guys, we know life gets in the way, but I really think I'm so excited about this event. I really think it's going to be truly life-transforming for the people that come along and take action. So get on over to DanBradbury.com/special. Daniel, tell us why video is critical.
Okay, let's go straight into video. And first of all, the video has been just exploding. On the bottom right of my page, you actually see a couple of traffic trends with YouTube, and you can see that just in a year, this is actually the whole year of 2011. You can see that YouTube's traffic exploded from like 100 million to 150 million visitors, unique visitors per month. Okay, so let's just be clear here. Unique visitors, 150 million a month. And the big thing you have to understand that YouTube is the second biggest search engine. People go into YouTube and type in what they are looking for. And if you go to YouTube and do searches via video, videos are highly engaging. Okay, and remember, the longer people are in your content, the deeper the emotional connection gets. Now, if you just look at the standard Google search, you go to Google search, and if a video is one of the search results, we have proof that most people click on the video first. That means if you got thousands of competitors, but you actually rank a video on page 1, you're going to be ahead of the crowd. But there are many ways to do video, and unfortunately most ways are absolutely pants for you if you want to drive traffic or make money. There are many sad stories of people who have videos out there with millions of views. Actually, a good friend of mine who lives in LA, his name is Adam Sachs. He's famous for cutting t-shirts and doing kind of fashion stuff. He's got a video with 500,000 views and doesn't know how to monetize it, okay? So we just spoke last week, and he's very grateful for some of the tips I've been able to give him. Google loves YouTube and owns YouTube. You will be aware they bought it for a couple of billion some time ago, okay? And nobody believed they could make money from it. Ha ha. Guess what's happening now, okay? So you can use video SEO to drive traffic. And there are some really clever tricks, and I want to share just some ninja tricks in the next 10 minutes. Absolutely incredible stuff. And I want you to also stand out. So at the bottom here, I show you one example of how you can create video content that stands out. And again, Dan has done that like last year, or was it 2 years ago, Dan, in your super conference, you used a similar animation service to create compelling videos. What was it called, the service you used? Remember that?
I do remember. Was. I'll have a quick look while you're still talking, and if I can find it, I'll post it in the chat box.
But the whole point is Dan found a way to create engaging content, which is not just the standard him to camera. And you got to stand out. I mean, infographic videos work really well. Sock puppets you can use. You can use animations. You can use hand-drawn stuff. You know, try to be creative to stand out from all the videos out there. Because even within video, there is some stuff which just is better than others. At the moment, animated videos sell really, really well, and you can do some really cool stuff with that. So what I want to do right now, guys, is go into some real ninja tips on SEO. This is my Video Ninja SEO. Now, please, let's take about 20 seconds to talk about what is SEO. SEO or SEM is search engine optimization. That means what can we do so that Google ranks us higher? And there is a lot of smoke and mirrors about it, but here is the simple truth that every SEO guy will tell you. It's backlinks that is 100% guaranteed to get you better Google ranking. So I'm showing you now 5 strategies that all add backlinks to your YouTube video, and it will cost you $25 altogether. Okay, so I'm looking at highly automated, highly leveraged activities that you can do tonight if you have a video out there. Now, I want to say you got to have the video made the right way, otherwise it's wasted traffic. Unless you have the right structure, which we're going to reveal, of course, on Saturday, how to define and design a video properly, then the traffic in itself won't help you. But let me just share with you the traffic. Now, here is one source. You go to Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com, and you're going to ask those guys, there is 1 million people on there offering services, okay? Don't ask me why, but they all cost $5 and they do different things. Now here's a couple of things you might look for when you do that. Number 1, you look for social bookmarking services. So here is a guy. He is somewhere from Romania, I think. I recognize the flag on the Fiverr service, and for $5 he will add 500 social bookmarks for you. Okay, that means 500 links to your video, which will make your video rank better because it means people are linking to you. Okay, that's the first one. So he does social bookmarking for you. Here's another thing, and by the way, all of them, make sure that they do it to your YouTube video, to the proper video URL where your YouTube video is. The second ninja tip is what we call a link pyramid, a backlink pyramid. Okay. Really complicated stuff, but you don't have to worry how it's done, because for $5, this guy who is in America, who's got 100% top rating, will actually build a link pyramid with 5,000 profiles and links from different domains, and 90% do follow links. And if you don't know what it means, believe me, it's good for $5. Okay? Now just think of that. There is somebody out there who will do all this for you for just $5. Now, if you're already blown away, I've got some more.
You can't lose with that, Daniel. You can't lose with. I mean, what's your risk? $5? Come on.
It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. But here's the killer. You see, Google votes every link as a vote. It counts it as a vote that your stuff is good. And people always say, oh, you got to watch out how quickly you do it. That's not true. Link velocity, as they call it, is not an issue, because if something goes viral, you suddenly got overnight millions of views, and Google don't de-rank you for that. Yeah. So what these people do, they create some traffic and some links to your site which appear to be valuable and rank up your video. Now here's another thing you do. So remember, it's the SEO, it's the social bookmarking, it's the link pyramid. Then you look for link wheel. Just type in link wheel in Fiverr. And again, this guy creates high PR blogs manually, okay, and creates 3,000 backlinks for you for $5. I mean, he's from Poland. You can see a little flag here, okay? And he does that all the time.
Now, hey, Daniel, two things I want to point out. First of all, on this specific strategy you share with Fiverr, I mean, look, this is kind of like an eBay in that there's seller feedback. Well, this guy's got 99% positive feedback, 2,427 happy customers, and 17 unhappy. So look, this isn't some kind of like weird thing that could all go horribly wrong. Just look at the feedback. If you've got, 6% positive feedback, then, maybe you don't want to do business with it.
Yeah.
But, if it's got thousands of happy customers, for just a Fiverr, it'd be pretty hard to go wrong. And by the way, some of you, I can already tell, are getting confused by this, or not sure and have further questions. Again, the purpose of this webinar, this free webinar, is to open your eyes. The purpose of the day that Daniel and I are spending on the 18th of February, which you can find the details at danbradbury.com/special. The purpose of that day is to add some meat to the bones about all this stuff that's been going on.
Absolutely.
Just to give you a glimpse, a taste of some of the stuff that could transform your business forever for the better if you come along on that day. So get on over to danbradbury.com/search. Hit us with the next tip, Daniel.
Yeah, guys, I mean, I just want to put it into context. As Dan said exactly, I just want to open your eyes and inspire you and give you some stuff you might have never heard before. But if you worry about how can I get my video ranked, I just shown you for $25 how you will have thousands of backlinks to your video, which will make the video rank better, which will drive free traffic from Google to your website, to your offer, where you can sell low-price products and build buyers lists, okay, with free traffic. And the investment is absolutely silly. Now, I want to explain, how can this Polish guy offer that? Because there is some software that the big SEO guys have. The software costs about $28,000. This guy will have most likely taken a bank loan to buy the software, and he now pays it off $5 at a time while he looks for high-value clients in Poland. Okay, so he just does that all day. He lets the software do a lot of the work. It's very expensive. You could never afford it, but he just does it for you. Okay, and there's stuff out there like that. I can go on and on, sharing some resources out there where you get tremendous value for very little investment. Let me share one last one, and then we're finishing on the video SEO ninja tips here. The last one is, you might have heard about that you can write articles, and articles will drive traffic. Now here's a guy who will spin an article for you. That means he will change the content manually, okay, and submit it to article directories. And that again is backlinks to your content. They will write about your latest report. They will write about your latest product, and they will just do that for you for $5. Now I hear you. You're saying to me now, Daniel, I don't have an article. And guess what? Here is a guy who will write an article for $5. And he's got 100% rating. He's written 834 articles successfully. He's from Canada, so he speaks most likely English and French, and he writes an article for you about any topic, okay? He obviously loves writing for $5. So this is just an untapped resource, but you need to know in what context you're going to put that. So guys, by the way, James or Dan, can you take care of Daniel Taylor, who wants to buy and says he's got a problem with the site? I just noticed that popping up here on my window. So guys, quick summary. That is an unbelievable strategy, is how to rank your video and drive traffic for free. And I want to quickly just tell you the future that we talked about, Dan and I outlined, is now. The strategy I've shown you are working now, and there's no point building last year's strategy. So if you want to know more about the big four and why you must work with them, why sending email will not be enough in 2012, how to counteract the crash of perceived value, why you might have to ditch your opt-in pages or at least use them in a very different way, and how to really exploit the explosion of video, then you must come to our event. Very simple. It's a one-off, one-day intensive masterclass with me, personal brand expert Daniel Wagner, and of course marketing automation expert Dan Bradbury. We're spending a whole day with you. It's going to be an amazing, fun-packed event with killer content. How to use the internet to build your seven-figure business. Saturday, 18th of February, 9 till 6 at London Heathrow. And I'm not going to go through the spiel once more, but you know what you're getting from us. You're going to get some killer strategies about traffic, tripling your conversion, quick product strategies, how to build these multiple products we talked about, how to build a tribe that lasts and position yourself properly, and of course how to automate some of that stuff. And the price should be minimum $497, but you already know that Dan and I have our ulterior motives. We want to actually create a product from the day, and for that simple reason, you can come and join us at this event for a few last remaining seats at £77 plus VAT, an absolute killer offer.
Let me just tag on one thing on the end. By the way, I put this on the video on the page where people buy tickets, danbradbury.com/special. So they already know this, but you don't, because I only recorded the video earlier today. I decided to offer a full money-back guarantee. So look, everyone gives a money back guarantee. Let me tell you what this means. Daniel and I have been doing this game for years, literally years, and we have thousands upon thousands of customers, not people on our list, customers, people that have given us money for stuff. And the only reason we've been able to grow and improve our businesses and grow and expand our businesses, I've doubled my business in size the last 3 years, every year for the last 3 years. I've doubled it again. I've got a 7-figure business. The only reason I've been able to do that and sustain that is because, quite frankly, I really try and always provide value. And if people aren't thrilled, I give them the money back. I mean, it's obvious, it's logical, it's simple, it makes sense, but sadly, a lot of people in internet marketing especially don't practice that. They're just trying to hustle for a quick buck. Daniel and I have multiple business interests. We don't need to do this day. We're doing it because we love it. Hopefully you got our passion. So quite frankly, this isn't some internet pitch event. It's just Daniel and I talking, sharing stuff like we've spoken on this webinar, but much more in depth, helping you to do it. We've already said the only thing that, that we're going to spend is a pure content day to create content for this product. The only time we'll be selling from the stage is to talk about Daniel's online branding thing, which is fantastic, by the way. 95, 98% of the day is going to be dedicated to going in depth to some of the stuff we've spoken about on this webinar. Look, the fact is the internet is changing. So, and if you don't adapt, it's going to really hurt you. If you do, and you're an early adopter, you get on this event and take action, then wow. The upside is huge. This event is easily worth £500. It's yours for £77, only because you came on this webinar. Nobody else has this link. Go to my website. You see everybody else is paying a higher price at danbradbury.com/internet. You've got a discount for being on this webinar. If you come along, if you don't think it is the most incredible internet marketing event, that an incredible value for money, the best one-day internet marketing event you've ever attended, I will happily, instantly give you a full refund. No question. So,
I didn't know you added that to the video, Dan, but I'm absolutely happy about it, because I know if people got value tonight where we try to cram some highlights into an hour, imagine spending 8 hours together with me and Dan on stage, where also in the breaks you can of course surround us and ask some more specific questions about your business, and we'll be very happy to answer them as well. It's going to be an incredible day. It's always fun-packed. If you spend time with me, you know that I'm inspirational and I got some great content to share. And totally resounding what Dan said, I've been able to grow my business rapidly in the last few years, and many of the people working with me have worked with me for years. In my inner circle group, we have people renewing for the 4th time. Now they wouldn't do that if they didn't get results. Actually, one of my students, Alan, said, look, I double my profit every half year when I work with you, so as long as we do that, I keep signing up. Why wouldn't I? It'd be stupid not to. And similar, the value you get, the knowledge you get on the day will make you money if and when you choose to use it. Now, I can't use it for you, but the information you get will literally put you ahead. It's an unfair advantage. It's early mover stuff, and you're getting it right now, while most people are still dreaming about last year.
Hey, Daniel, let me just acknowledge a few more people. Richard Hill, Shona Garner, Robin Higham, I think, or Hyam. Helen Evans, thank you. They've just booked in the last minute or so since I hit refresh. By the way, there's a couple of people that are obviously determined to test me, Daniel. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that have gone and bought at the higher price for some reason. So they either just bought by coincidence because they're on the, they've just been getting some of, they found the link just via my website and bought by coincidence while we've been on this call, or they're on the webinar and determined to test us out whether or not we're actually selling at the higher price. And yes, if you bought from danbradbury.com/internet, i.e. you did not buy from the special link, danbradbury.com/special, that's only been given on this webinar, then you will pay a high price. If you want to pay the £77 plus that, it's at danbradbury.com/special. And if you were a crazy person that decided to go and buy it on the other page, then just drop us an email, tell us you're on this webinar, and we'll refund the difference.
Cool. I think that's a very kind offer, Dan, because I think even the higher price is an absolute no-brainer price, and I think it's great that you actually honor that special webinar price tonight. I just want to
Only
make
if you're on the
something clear.
webinar. If you're not on the webinar, they're not going to be hearing this message. So
No, this is quite easy.
Fair enough.
No,
It's still a good deal. But if you're on the webinar and you just went to the wrong page by mistake, you didn't go to danbradbury.com/special, you went somewhere else by mistake, then we'll store you the 77 if you come back to us ASAP. And of course, assuming we haven't sold all the tickets out and taken them off sale by then.
So
cool.
there's
guys.
yeah, a couple of small things just to finish off, Dan. I want to thank everyone who's been hanging on. Also you, Dan, I know you said, hey, can you keep it an hour? And I tried, but you interrupted me so much, we just overran, Dan. I'm sorry, mate.
My wife's gone to bed now without me. My dinner's in the dog, and my wife's gone to bed.
Hey,
so
small sacrifices.
You're paying for the makeup dinner.
Oh,
also,
right.
thanks to Steve Weir and William Welsh, who just booked. Yeah, so thank you guys for everybody that's booking at danbradbury.com/special. Let us know if you've got some questions, and we'll stay on for a little bit while longer and answer them. But other than that, thank you, Daniel. It was a great webinar. I think this might be my favorite webinar of all time.
Oh, you're very kind, Dan. I mean, it was good stuff, I have to say. Yeah, hey.
No, it was great. And it's true. It's all true. This is such a fun topic. Everything's changing fast. You've got to stay ahead of the curve. So I'll thank you and go and salvage my dinner.
Yeah, yes, thanks, Dan. For we're gonna hang on for 10 more minutes, guys, until 9:30. So if you do have questions, do let us know right now. If it's about the event, we already said it's a one-off. If you can't make it, if you can't cancel whatever happens that day, there will be a chance to buy the product in the future. It will maybe not have it won't be a director's cut. There will be some stuff that possibly we can't put on DVDs. But if you can be at the event, you get definitely 100% of the content. We will also be offering the slides from the day when you come to the event. It's a special bonus, so you actually can walk away with the step-by-step instructions for much of what we covered tonight and literally put the stuff into action far before anybody else gets their hands on the content. So if there's any, thanks for all the kind feedback as well. I definitely loved having you, and thank you for spending your evening with me. It's been an absolute pleasure. I know for some of you it was the first time you spent time with me because you come directly from Mr. Bradbury's list and joined maybe Dan's list after I was in Dan's mastermind group. And for the other ones, all of my followers and my wonderful subscribers, maybe the first time they heard Dan chip in his 5P's worth of marketing magic. So any question, guys?
What a special treat it's been. Right, I'm going to call it a day now. There's still loads of people on the line. For you 100 and odd people that are still on the line, go home. We're finished. Unless you've got questions, in which case ask your questions using the box. But Dan, I'm going to call it a night right now. So I'll see you guys at the event. For all of those of you that have booked, I'm delighted, cannot wait. It's going to be a full room by the looks of things, judging by this webinar.
Fantastic. We will sell out. Hey, Dan, thanks so much also for pushing. I know you've been very busy after America, but thanks for helping with the promotion of this webinar. It's been an absolute ball. I love the content. I'm so confident that everything we share will help you guys build a more secure future, build better businesses, and that's really what it's all about. I really, really love what I do, and I hope it comes across. Just for the guys who ask questions, now, we will shut this webinar down right now, but all the questions are in our spreadsheet recorded, and we will follow up individually if there's anything we can do for you. So if you didn't get your answer tonight, you will get it tomorrow, and we will actually put a replay up because there were quite a few people who couldn't make it tonight, but that will be on a secret page and only be notified to people who've been registering for the webinar. So thanks everyone.
But again, there's hundreds of people that didn't register, so I hate to pull the scarcity tactic, but it's also true. There's hundreds of people that were registered, extra people that were registered that didn't make it. So, you know, if you're serious about this, get your questions answered now, guys, because, yeah, as Dan said, I don't know when, but this event is going to sell out. So, you know, don't procrastinate. If this is something you've got no risk, it's money back guarantee, just book or ask your questions and then book. Either way, book. All right, Daniel, I'm literally about to put the first mouthful of my dinner into my mouth. So I'm going to love you and leave you. And take care, everybody, and I'll speak to you soon.
All the best. Thanks, Dan. Thanks for joining us tonight.